Welcome to ABC tutorial. Today we are going to talk about epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue consists of cells arranged in a continuous sheet, either in a single layer or in multiple layers. Epithelial tissue is arranged in two general patterns in the body. The first is covering and lining of various surfaces, in which case it is known as surface epithelium, and the second is informing the secretory portion of glands, in which case it is known as glandular epithelium. Functionally, epithelial tissue protects body structures, secretes mucus, hormones and enzymes. It absorbs substances such as absorption of nutrients in the gastrointestinal tract, and it excretes waste such as in the urinary tract. Epithelial cells are generally made up of the apical surface, the lateral surface and the basal surface. The epithelial cells usually rest upon a basement membrane, which is the connective tissue that lies directly beneath epithelial cells, and it supplies nutrients to the epithelial cells. Surface epithelium are generally classified based on the layers of cells and the shapes of the cells. Based on the layers of cells, epithelial tissues can be classified into simple epithelium, which consists of a single layer of cells, pseudostratified epithelium, in which the surface epithelium appears to have multiple layers of cells because their nuclei lie at different levels. However, it is actually a simple epithelium because all the cells are connected to the basement membrane. And thirdly, stratified epithelium, which consists of two or more layers of cells. Based on their shapes, epithelial tissue could be squamous epithelium, in which the cells are thin and flattened. They could be cuboidal epithelium, in which the cells are as tall as they are wide, that is, they are shaped like cubes or hexagon. They could also be columnar epithelium, which are tall cells, that is, they look like columns. And they could also be transition epithelium, in which the cells change shape from squamous to cuboidal and vice versa. Combination of both properties, that is, the layers and the shape of cells, give rise to different types of epithelial tissue, such as the simple squamous, the simple cuboidal, the stratified squamous, and the stratified cuboidal epithelium. Simple squamous epithelium is made up of a single layer of flat cells that resembles a tile floor when viewed from the apical surface. They have a centrally located nucleus that is flattened and oval or spherical in shape. Simple squamous epithelium can either be an endothelium or a mesothelium. They are referred to as endothelium when they line the heart, the blood vessels, and the lymphatic vessels. And they are referred to as mesothelium when they line the peritoneum, the pleura, and the pericardium. They are also found in the hair sacs, the Bowman's capsule of the kidney, and the inner layer of the tympanic membrane. They allow for easy diffusion of substances and for filtration of blood. Simple cuboidal epithelium is a single layer of cube-shaped cells with a round and centrally located nucleus. It covers the surface of the ovaries and the lens of the eyes, the retina of the eyes, the kidney tubules, the thyroid glands, and the pancreas. Simple cuboidal epithelium helps in secretion and absorption of substances. Simple columnar epithelium is a single layer of column-like cells, which could be ciliated, that is, when there is presence of cilia on the apical surface, and they could also be non-ciliated, in which case there is absence of cilia on its apical surface. Non-ciliated simple columnar epithelium has the presence of microvilli at the apical surface. The ciliated simple columnar epithelium lines the bronchioles, the fallopian tubes, the uterus, the paranasal sinuses, and the ventricles of the brain. When the cilia beat in unison, it helps to move particles such as mucus and foreign substances in a specific direction. The non-ciliated simple columnar epithelium, which are characterized by the presence of microvilli, lines the gastrointestinal tract and form the duct of many organs. It helps in secretion and absorption of substances, as the microvilli helps to increase the surface area of the epithelial cells. They are particularly good at absorption of nutrients in the gastrointestinal tract. Pseudostratified columnar epithelium can also be ciliated or non-ciliated. Pseudostratified epithelial cells appear to have several layers because the cell nuclei are at various levels. However, all the cells are attached to the basement membrane. The ciliated pseudostratified columnar cells lines the airways of the upper respiratory tract. It helps in protection of the airways by secreting mucus that traps foreign particles for elimination from the body. The non-ciliated pseudostratified columnar cells lines the epididymis. It is also located in the male urethra and is found in the duct of many glands. They function for absorption and secretion of substances. Stratified squamous epithelium has two or more layers of cells. Generally, when epithelial tissue has several cell layers, that is, when it is stratified, the shape of the cells at the uppermost portion is generally used to classify the epithelial surface. In a stratified squamous epithelium, the cells in the apical portion are usually squamous. even though the cells in the deeper portion may be cuboidal. Stratified squamous epithelial cells could either be keratinized or non-keratinized, depending on the presence or absence of keratin in the apical layers of cells. Keratinized stratified squamous epithelial cells are usually found in the superficial layer of the skin, while the stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium are usually found in the lining of the mouth, in the tongue, the esophagus, part of the epiglottis, part of the pharynx and the vagina. Stratified squamous epithelial cells usually protect against abrasion, water loss, ultraviolet radiation, and foreign body invasion. Stratified cuboidal epithelium has two or more layers of cells, with the cells in the apical layer being cube-shaped. They are generally a fairly rare type of epithelial tissue. They are usually located in the adult sweat glands. The esophageal glands are part of the male urethra. They function for protection, absorption, and secretion of substances. Stratified columnar epithelium is a type of epithelium in which the uppermost cells have columnar shapes. However, the basal cells are usually shortened and irregularly shaped. It is found in the conjunctiva and also forms the duct of some glands. It functions for protection and secretion of substances. Transitional epithelium, also known as urothelium, because it lines the urinary tract, has a variable appearance and is thus known as transitional. In relaxed or stretched state, it looks like a stratified cuboidal epithelium. However, as the tissue becomes stretched out, the cells becomes flatter, giving the appearance of a stratified squamous epithelium. This elasticity makes it ideal for lining hollow structures which are subjected to expansion, such as the urinary bladder. Transitional epithelium lines the urinary bladder, the ureters, and the urethra, and is highly elastic, thus allowing for urinary organs to stretch. The function of glandular epithelium is secretion, which is accomplished by glandular cells that often lie in clusters deep to the covering and lining epithelium. A gland is made up of the secretory portion and the duct. Glandular epithelium are classified based on two criteria: the branching of the duct and the shape of the secretory portion of the gland. Based on the shape of the secretory portion, a glandular epithelium could be tubular or acinar, while based on the branching of the duct, it could be unbranched, in which case it is known as simple gland, or it could be branched, in which case it is known as a compound gland. Thus, a glandular epithelium is simple tubular when the secretory portion is tubular and is attached to a single unbranched duct. Example is the sweat glands and gastric glands. It could be simple acinar when the secretory portion is rounded or acinar while connected to an unbranched duct. Example is the sebaceous gland. Glandular epithelium can also be compound tubular when the secretory portion is tubular and is connected to a branched duct. Example is the bulbourethral gland, also known as the Cowper's gland. It could also be compound acinar when the secretory portion is rounded and is attached to a branched duct. Example is the mammary gland. It could also be compound tubuloacinar when the secretory portion is both tubular and rounded and is attached to a branched duct. Example is the acinar glands of the pancreas.